What's up, guys, and welcome back to Holocron Radio. I'm your host, Grandmaster Jordan. Man, it's been a doozy of a week, man. I'm excited for episode 5. Here we are, 5 episodes in, um, grabbing a nice following, some good listeners and everything. But hopefully, we grow the channel, grow the podcast, and just grow the community. I would love that. I hope you guys had a wonderful week, and here we are with a brand new episode. So let's jump right in. Before we actually jump into the action today, I do want to talk about something that I've experienced within the Star Wars community um, since I've started my podcast and, just becoming more involved and more active in the Star Wars community. Um, as you guys know, I have been working on my own fan fiction for a while. And part of the process is basically sharing basically ideas and concept art. So I create concept art for my ideas or whatnot, just to bounce around, see what the Star Wars community thinks about it, what they likes. Like, I just want to get a feel for what, everyone's after a little bit. Recently, I shared artwork of my main character. And since he was black, I received comments saying Star Wars was made for white people. And let's be clear. Let's be clear about something. Star Wars was never made for one race and one culture or a group of people. Star Wars, at its core, is a story about hope over fear, freedom over tyranny, and people from all walks of life coming together against oppression. Literally, and if you watch, especially the original trilogy, it's literally good. It's the concept of good versus evil. You see the evil empire, what they do, and you see the rebels, different aliens, different cultures, different people of all walks of life coming together to fight a common enemy. I mean, the Rebel Alliance was literally made up of the most oppressed peoples and aliens from different worlds and galaxies and cultures, and they all united for the one cause in defeating the Empire. One of the biggest lessons from Star Wars teaches us that prejudice, discrimination, and uh, hatred is fundamentally wrong and destructive. The Empire wanted division, but the heroes used unity to succeed. I'm a black Star Wars content creator. I'm a black Star Wars fan. My stories that I write for Star Wars are going to reflect my experiences and my perspective. Just like any other, just like any other creator for Star Wars, whatnot, whether it be an author, gamer, whatever the case may be. Everyone creates their personal characters by design because of some type of similarity to them or whatnot, or whatever the case may be. I don't believe, personally, discrimination of any kind belongs in Star Wars whatsoever. I don't care if you call yourself a fan of Star Wars and yet you didn't like Rey because she was a woman. To me, misogynistic people or women against men, whatever the case may be, whether you're, black, white, Mexican, or gay, trans, whatever the case may be, discrimination does not belong in our world, and it does not belong in Star Wars. And that's just the real talk right there. I'm just speaking on the realness. So, like, whether you agree with hot takes or disagree with hot takes, whether you like Disney, Star Wars over the expanding universe, whether you think Count Dooku is better than Grievous, or whatever the case may be, we can have those arguments, those discussions all day long. All day long. We can debate, we can disagree. That's part of Star Wars. But we should never discriminate against each other because of our backgrounds and because of what we look like. That is the fundamental thing that Star Wars has taught us, that it's okay to be different. Because at the end of the day, we all have a common goal. So, just something I was facing, and I wanted to bring that to your guys' attention because, I don't want anyone to feel like they're excluded from my content. I don't want anybody to feel like they're excluded from Star Wars. And I want everyone to feel what it's like to be a Star Wars fan, whether you love certain topics, or hate certain topics, whatever the case may be. Being a Star Wars fan, you got to kind of be all over the place, That's just kind of how it is. But real fans understand that discrimination is wrong. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to just leave it that, real Star Wars fans will never discriminate against other Star Wars fans, except for if you're a Disney fan or a George Lucas purist, or, whatever the case may be. So there's that. But you know what, guys, without further ado, let's open up the Holocron. It's time. I think it's time to get busy today. So, as in every week, we start off with a Star Wars fact of the week. The Star Wars fact of the week is actually a very interesting one. And I never noticed this until I actually had to go back and see the scene myself. In Return of the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost is finally wearing Jedi Master robes. Now, what makes this fact so interesting, I never noticed this. I never noticed that Jedi Masters have some type of white to them, or whatever the case may be, or some type of pattern of robes that differentiate between a knight and a master. So I go back and I look at it, and I was like, wow, I never saw that. And the reason is because once Luke Skywalker redeems Anakin Skywalker, and ultimately, not only does Anakin Skywalker defeat Emperor Palpatine, he also defeats Darth Vader. Remember, Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker, you can say they're the same person, but at the same time, you can also say they're separate. And I believe that Anakin Skywalker was able to conquer the darkness within himself in order to fulfill his destiny of becoming the chosen one, whatever the case may be. And with that redemption and with his death and everything, he redeemed himself to the light side and basically ascended to the mastery rank of a Master Jedi. Because at this point, that's what Anakin Skywalker is. He is a Jedi Master. And I think that parallel to what he wanted to be and how the journey had to come, I think that's a very great closure at the end of the day. I think it really brings a full circle close to Anakin Skywalker's legacy and what he was. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that little piece of of lore right there, and going back and seeing that George Lucas added that in type of thing. I feel like it's a very hit or miss type of thing. I don't think a lot of people kind of realize it. And then when I went to go see it, it was actually pretty cool. So I'm really glad about that tidbit right there. But a lot of people, was waiting for this. This is what a lot of people are waiting for. So I recently I'm a big expanded universe guy myself, personally. Don't get me wrong, I do like certain Disney projects, but most of the time it's expanding universe. I feel like Disney Star Wars should have went with the expanding universe personally, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm after this week, or what I've been trying to research and everything like that, I was researching why people dislike the expanding universe. And I came up with 5 different reasons, 5 of the main reasons why people do not like the Star Wars expanded universe. And so here we are. This is our main topic today. And I'm going to throw a little twist in here. For every disagreement, I'm going to give some of the reasons I found, or what people said in the comments. And I'm also going to rebuttal the entire thing just to kind of give my take on that. So let's give it a try here. So the top 5 reasons people dislike the expanded universe of Star Wars. At number 5, we have our George Lucas purist. What does that mean? So, many people believe George Lucas' vision for Star Wars, or his vision for Star Wars, is the only one that matters. They view the EU as secondary to the films and dislike stories he wasn't involved in. Okay, guys, so I have my little personal qualms with George Lucas as a whole. Don't get me wrong, George Lucas created Star Wars. He is the undisputed master. The problem of it is that, as I will always say, is that no matter how you look at it, no matter how what George Lucas says, he could say like, "I never read the expanded universe," or "The expanded universe wasn't my vision." It was the fact that you still opened up Lucasfilm and LucasArts and everything to all these authors to contribute to your universe and add their 2 cents to the flavor. And of course, you got a you got to literally the expanded universe. That's what you got out of it, and you was getting paid. You was literally getting paid. And some of the concepts that George Lucas got, especially like the Thrawn trilogy, really inspired him to do what he did with the prequel trilogies. That's how we got Coruscant. That's how we got the Clone Wars. Everything that was for that, and then a lot of people wanted the aftermath of like what happened after Return of the Jedi. So that's what we got. And my thing of it is, I don't particularly like George Lucas purists because they will always be like, George Lucas gave us like the 6 movies and that's golden. The reason why I don't like that argument for me personally is because like George Lucas got paid and made money off of all of the backs of these authors, right? And then when he sold it off to Disney, Disney was like, we don't want to pay them, so we're just gonna cut it off and say this isn't part of our universe, blah blah. And it really messed up the continuity of the expanded universe because a lot of people were really tuned into it, especially at the back end of things. We never got to see the completion of like Cade Skywalker's story or the young solo girl story or whatever the case may be. We never got to see what Alana turns into. Like we never get any of that. It's like a closed book chapter. And my other problem with the George Lucas purists is that you can't. The George Lucas purists are mostly people that have never read the expanded universe, and I don't like that because it's like, well, it's not George Lucas' story, so we don't want to be part of it. Well, the problem to that is that it would have been different if George Lucas would have continued creating his own lore. Like that's where my problem is. He made money off of all these authors who contributed to him and to the story, like the author for the Thrawn trilogy, or the New Jedi Order, the Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi. All these authors contributed something like amazing to Star Wars, and it was just like, nope, that's not part of my canon, whatever. And if that's the case, you shouldn't have opened up Star Wars to that, because like I'll give you a good example. J.K. Rowling. She did not open up her universe for Harry Potter to any and everybody to write their own lore or whatever. Everything in the expanded, or everything in the Harry Potter lore, as far as background, as far as like stories of like before Harry Potter or even after Harry Potter, came directly from her. Anything else is a fan fiction. And when people say George Lucas, didn't do nothing, or George Lucas doesn't see it as canon and it's just a glorified fan fiction, well, that's not true. Because for the longest time, the expanded universe was the only material that Star Wars fans was getting. Like, let's put this in perspective. There was basically a 10-year gap, or almost, let me see. If let's do some research here. Let's look at this. Let's do some research, because let's do some research. So let's look at Star Wars. Let's look at Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Let's look at Return of the Jedi, okay? All right, Return of the Jedi. Okay, so Star Wars Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. The Phantom Menace didn't come out until 1999. So you're telling me that for 16 years we didn't have Star Wars. Now let's put another pin into this. Let's do this again. When Revenge of the Sith came out, in 2005. We just celebrated the 20-year anniversary of Revenge of the Sith in 2025. The next movie after that, if you want to count the Clone Wars, I kind of count the Clone Wars movie, was 3 years later. But if you don't want to count the Clone Wars, if you want to count live action movie, wasn't until 2016, 11 years later. Now remember, that's Rogue One. from 2005 until 2012, when Disney bought Lucasfilms and Star Wars. 2005 until 2012. So that's a 7-year gap right there. There was nothing Star Wars except for the Clone Wars. That was it. And so everything, the Clone Wars, I mean, they canonized the Clone Wars for Disney, but everything else just went out the window in 2014. And that's where I don't understand people who are George Lucas purists but never read the material and everything like that, because he didn't read the material from supposedly. But yet he took bits and pieces from the Thrawn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy, and added it to his prequel trilogy. So I don't understand that. So I'm sorry, that argument is kind of null and void with me, because he didn't have to take the money, whatever the case may be. So there's that. Number 4 is a weird one for me. It's the new Jedi Order series is too long. So in the expanded universe, there is the new Jedi Order. It's basically, it follows Luke Skywalker and his new Jedi Order as they fight off the Yuuzhan Vong, which I'll get there in a second. But the new Jedi Order has 19 books. It requires significant time investment, as in reading time, and apparently, from what a lot of people say, it introduced too many new characters. Now, I'm sorry. This is just the reader in me. I feel like that's an. I feel like just because it. Okay, I will say this: is New Jedi Orders I think one of the longest series as far as Star Wars books? Yes. Could they have condensed it? Sure, whatever the case may be. I genuinely enjoy it. I think the New Jedi Order. I think that could have been a wonderful show for Star Wars. I think the Yuuzhan Vong invasion is some of the most premier things about Star Wars. But what do I know? I don't know. I feel like the excuses of why the expanding universe isn't good and it just falls back on is too much reading and everything. I'm a reader. And when people say they don't like to read or whatever, I kind of give them a side eye. I give people a side eye. I'm sorry. Especially like Star Wars books. Like Star Wars books are meant to be a little bit longer. And I've read a lot of Star Wars books. I've read a lot of Star Wars books. I've read a lot of comics. I'm about to reread stuff. Some stuff I haven't read yet, but I know of. And I'm about to dive deep again. Like right now, I'm on the Mara Jade comics right now. So I can't wait to finish this. So I don't know. I personally don't think it's too long. It could have kept going for all I cared, but whatever. Number 3, Mara Jade. Mara Jade Skywalker. Yes, I have people say that they didn't like the expanded universe because specifically for Mara Jade. This is the weirdest one. To me, this is the weirdest one. Some hated the fact that she married Luke Skywalker. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Luke Skywalker got married in the expanded universe, and that contributes back to the George Lucas thing. So whatever. Some people don't know her. Some people just don't know who Mara Jade is or know a lot of the expanded universe people. So I mean, there's that. But then there are expanded universe fans who stopped reading the expanded universe because she got killed off. So there's that tea. My rebuttal for this is that Mara Jade Skywalker will forever be one of the greatest expanded universe characters to come out of the expanded universe. And her story all the way up until her unfortunate death is just pure wilderness. And I love the fact that Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade got married. I love the fact that, Mara Jade, basically grounded Luke Skywalker. She was his grounding rock. And the way she went out, I have to say, like, it's really set the tone for the rest of the series. Like, it is what it is. So I did enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that she died, but I understood why she died. And there's that. I think for people who don't know Mara Jade, I would dive deep. Do a deep dive start with her comics. Look at her comics and read her comics and everything, and you'll figure out real quick who Mara Jade is in the expanded universe. And, just give it a chance. Give it a chance. Number 2, power scaling. This was funny. Some fans feel the expanded universe makes Jedi and Sith into superheroes. And then Force abilities became increasingly powerful over time. Yeah, this one right here really kind of like made me upset because I'm just like, this particular comment. I remember this particular comment. Like I see it a lot of times because like me and him have like very like every time I post in this particular Facebook group, he is one of the first people to respond, and he like either agrees with me or disagrees with me. And this is one of the times he straight up disagrees. He was like, I don't like my book characters to be like video games. I feel like they made Luke Skywalker too powerful. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't think we scratched the surface. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, you want him to just be like some boring, oh, I know basic force push and I can meditate. No, Luke Skywalker is going to be the most powerful character. Of course he is. This is Luke Skywalker we're talking about. And we're not talking about canon. We're talking about expanded universe Luke Skywalker. We're talking about the guy who stopped, who single-handedly damn near stopped the Empire from rising twice. The guy who stopped Thrawn, the guy who the guy who fought the Yuuzhan Vong, the guy who recreated the Jedi Order. That's insane. Of course he's gonna be powerful. He's getting older, he's wiser, of course. What did you want him to be? You and I don't understand people with the power scaling thing. This isn't Dragon Ball Z. This isn't Naruto or anime or superheroes. This is Star Wars. And the Force is already a broken ability, and it just happens to have many different types of abilities within the Force. Luke Skywalker is also the son of Anakin Skywalker, one of the most powerful Force users in Star Wars, canon or non-canon. And a lot of people are saying like, well, like a lot of people love to say that, well, what about Starkiller? Starkiller is a video game character. He started off as one. Even in the books he's powerful, but not as powerful as his counterpart in video games. Like we was doing some wild stuff. And I think I have to just say, like, I don't know where people get like this is a power scaling thing. And a lot of people say too, what I hate about the power scaling thing is that, well, you got authors trying to one up each other and stuff like that. No. A lot of authors literally, like, if you read certain authors, you kind of understand like they have to build off of like what the last author left them. You got to build from that to continue on the story, and building on that, of course, you get new abilities, new force powers, whatever the case may be. At least we're not at a point now where like you can create like a force orb or something like that, and you can just beam blast somebody like Kami Kamehameha type of thing, whatever the case may be. But like I don't understand people who literally say that like the expanded universe characters are broken and everything like that. I just don't understand that. I don't see it. I genuinely don't see it. Number one is the Yuuzhan Vong. This one really makes me mad. Let's go through it. The Yuuzhan Vong were extraterrestrial invaders from outside of the galaxy. They were immune or resistant to many force abilities. They were responsible for the death of a lot of characters, including Chewbacca and Anakin Solo. They introduced Star Wars to darker and mature themes, and a lot of people felt like it was no longer Star Wars. Another guy that I often have arguments with in one of my Facebook groups, he was like, the Yuuzhan Vong feels like Warhammer. Me personally, I don't know what the hell Warhammer is. But the Yuuzhan Vong was a fresh breath of air for Star Wars. Instead of the new Jedi Order facing a familiar enemy, like think about it like this. Let's put it like this in perspective. After Return of the Jedi, you had the Thrawn trilogy. Basically, I'm just kind of going like semi-order. You got the Thrawn trilogy, you got the Empire, the Emperor returns, and then realistically, you're just fighting off like Basically you're just fighting off, like, fighting for the New Republic. You got the new Jedi Order coming and flourishing, blah blah. What was the next major enemy? Because you could have brought back a Sith enemy. You could have brought back, you could have brought back the Imperials. You could have done a lot of different things. But no. Instead, we decided that what if we created an enemy? Excuse me. What if we created an enemy that was resistant to the Force and a true challenge to the new Jedi Order? And the new Jedi Order set a lot of things in motion. Like, as far as the books, the Yuuzhan Vong set a lot of things in motion for the future of the New Republic and for the Jedi, for Luke Skywalker's Jedi Order. And that's what makes them so unique. This wasn't your normal Star Wars story. The stakes were high. You had terraforming aliens who could terraform a whole planet. They invaded Coruscant and took it over and terraformed it and all that. Ah, nah. These were some menaces. I've been calling for a Yuuzhan Vong movie. Like, that would be so epic. And everybody in Star Wars community is like, no, because it would be too scary. It would be too mature. The kids would get scared. Forget it. Let's do it. Make it rated R. Let's step into this territory that we have not touched yet. Why cannot we do this? Because you're trying to sell more stuff to kids. Cool. Keep selling that. I'm telling you, all they have to do is make a new Jedi Order trilogy, the Yuuzhan Vong being the main villains, or even a show. It's rated R, and then you put like a little disclaimer. This is a legend story, so it's not even a canon story, whatever the case may be. Disney's making money, and we're all happy as Star Wars fans. I'm telling you, the Yuuzhan Vong would sell tickets. I'm buying a ticket. I'm going to IMAX, 3D IMAX, especially if the writing is right. I've always still got to be a good writing, but whatever the case may be. That is that is where I'm at, Rick. That's where I'm at. I feel like the Yuuzhan Vong to me was a really great step into the darker era of Star Wars for the expanding universe. It set the tone for a lot of different things. I mean, Jacen Solo literally turned to the dark side because of the aftermath. Like, the aftermath of the Yuuzhan Vong Wars literally saw Jacen Solo walking down the path to the dark side. It saw, the repercussions of losing Chewbacca and Anakin Solo. And it really had to put it forced the New Republic to become a whole nother government. Like, you had to become a whole nother government, and on top of that, you had to work with the Imperial Remnant just to stop these dudes. The Yuuzhan Vong changed the course of Star Wars forever, and I genuinely enjoy it. So it is what it is on that part. So, and here's a couple honorable mentions too. Disney Canon's better, and the EU is all over the place. Disney is hit or miss. You miss with the sequels. You cool with you miss with the sequels. You miss with the Acolyte. You hit with Andor. You hit with season 7 of Clone Wars. You hit with Bad Batch. You hit with season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian. Then you fell off with season 3 and the movie. It's really divided for Disney. And if Disney continues down the road, I feel like they're going to have to figure out something, whatever. And then the EU is all over the place. Well, there's an order for it now. Like, there, you can go find the order for it and read everything in order, so you don't have to be confused, so it's not all over the place, whatever the case may be. But hey, man, I gotta say, the expanded universe has so many stories that we could be telling, and I'm sorry that a lot of people are like, these are the reasons, but I say, if you never read the expanded universe, hit me up. I'll teach you. I will become the Grandmaster that I need to become to teach you the lore. Then you can make your own decision if you want to continue down that journey or just stick with Disney, whatever you want to do. You let me know. Anyways, we continue on with our Jedi of the Week. We're going to go with Jedi Master Plo Koon, the Keldor Jedi. There we go. Plo Koon was a member of the Jedi High Council during the final years of the Republic. He was one of the most respected Jedi masters of the Clone Wars era. He was known for his wisdom, compassion, and calm leadership. He was a master of Form 5 lightsaber combat. He was one of the few Jedi willing to question the Council when he thought they were wrong. He discovered and brought Ahsoka Tano to the Jedi Temple. He led the 104th Battalion, the Wolf Pack, during the Clone Wars. He believed clones were in individuals, and he believed that the clones that he served with and all the clones around him were individuals and not disposable soldiers. He could use the Electric Judgment, which was a rare light side force lightning ability. Dope. He had a Jedi niece, Shao Kahn, and then he unfortunately died during the Order 66 when his clone pilots shot him down over Kato pneumonia. Yeah, Plo Koon is one of my favorite characters. I love Plo Koon. He's one of my favorite Jedi. I think what I really respected about Plo Koon is because, like, the way he moved, he was one of the only Jedi to really respect Anakin Skywalker, especially as a starfighter. He was a top pilot himself, and I really love the fact of the matter is, like, his wisdom and the way he moved and the way he battled and everything. It just spoke to it spoke to what the Jedi Council could have been. Like it spoke to like if he was like if it was him or Qui-Gon Jinn and they were like those type of individuals on the council, then what could have been for the Jedi Order instead of Order 66? Could they have prevented it? Whatever the case may be. But again, love Plo Koon, respect. Nothing but respect for Plo Koon. He's one of my favorite Jedi of all time, so nothing but respect. But well, guys, here we are. We're at the end of episode 5. Man, we covered a lot today. And we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep powering through. We're gonna keep on being great together. And can't wait for the next episode, which episode 6 will be out next Friday as well. Every Friday is an episode. So next week, we are going to be discussing why the New Republic failed in both canon and in the expanded universe. The New Republic is the government that takes place after the Galactic Civil War, and we need to figure out what realistically is the reason why it failed in both iterations, whether it's Disney or the expanded universe. Come back next time and find out. Guys, it's been wonderful. I'm going to close this out. Just remember, may the Force be with you.